Hi, I'm Taku, and I've spent over 10 years telling my stories to thousands of kids across Australia. Now, I'm making my first kids' TV show, but here's the thing. I don't have a lot of money, I've never made TV before.
Please explain.
And I've never even been to film school. Yeah, I know. It sounds ridiculous, but that's why I'm doing this podcast. You'll hear how I'm working with the best in the business, how I'm finding the money, and all the behind-the-scenes stuff no one tells you about. This is 2 Words with Taku. Let's learn this making TV thing together. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host Taku, and I am so happy that people are listening to the show and sending through emails, messages, just being really awesome. Thank you. In this episode, I'm going to keep this intro kind of short because I know they've been long and mixed up and all this, but I just want to get straight into having a chat with Hawanatu Bangura, who is my guest today. She is a filmmaker, and I've seen her around at TV functions, screen industry functions. I really like the work that she makes. And in this episode, I really wanted to focus on the story of finding the money to fund your projects. The previous episodes we've talked about, having the ideas, we've talked about managing your money. And so in my case, I talked about why I set up my production company and how I'm starting to manage the finances for that. And then I sort of touched on the fact that, okay, so you've got your idea and now there is actually money available from government agencies to help you fund your projects. In fact, even things like getting the development happening for your projects, you can apply to screen agencies, you can apply to sometimes not-for-profits, you can apply to different places to fund your projects. In my case, I knew that I needed to find money to fund a children's program, and the Australian Children's TV Foundation is the big sort of umbrella organization and agency in Australia that helps with funding, with development, and just supporting people who want to create content for young audiences. And so that's who I ended up getting some funding through. But before I get to that episode, which is coming later on in the show, I wanted to talk to somebody else about how they have been making money. In fact, not just making money, how they've been finding the money to make their films. And the reason why I've picked Hawanatu is because she's pretty much like me. She's an African Australian. She was born in Africa, moved over here, and has, set up a career here doing other things not related to film. And then she's found herself starting to work within the screen industry. And because I'm fascinated by her work and I've seen her around, I thought, oh gosh, I'd love to get her on the show to share what she's done to fund her projects, but also just so you can meet her and hear a bit more about her work and her experiences. And we had such a good chat in this episode, both before and after, and so I hope you really enjoy hearing her insights. So I'll tell you a little bit about her from her official bio, and I'll also put links to her work in the show notes as always. Hawanatu Bangura is an Afro-Australian writer, director and producer. Born in Sierra Leone, she migrated to Australia in 2002 and as a teenager discovered her interest in filmmaking when she was involved in a youth film project. Since then, she has written and directed 6 short films in various genres including dance, experimental, drama, documentary, and animation. Her films have been screened both in Australia and internationally at film festivals, including the Legacy Film Festival in the UK, as well as Adelaide Kids Film Festival and African Film Festival Australia. In fact, quite a few really good ones, so I will list them all for you. Recently, she joined forces with a group of Afro-Australian female filmmakers, that's a tongue twister, to create a web series entitled Afro Sistahs, and it's a short-form narrative comedy drama that explores the complex nature in which culture, gender, race, love, and of course hair intersect. Hawanatu's films are driven by her personal values, so themes of social justice, empowerment, identity, peace, hope, and wisdom are strong in her work. Here is Hawanatu Bangura. You've mentioned that you have a day job. What is your day job, and what was the moment that you decided to make films in relation to that day job?
Okay, so for me, I've ever since I finished uni, so I studied social work and social science at uni. So I knew that I would have to be working in my social work field while doing my creative work. So I've always tried to have that balance whereby I'm not working full time. So
Mm-hmm.
work part time, and then I make sure I have, at least one weekday that I can focus on my creative work. So
Mm-hmm.
my current day job is I'm working for a program in the Sydney suburb of Rockdale. And what we were trying to do is well, it's called the Rockdale Children and Families Hub. We're focusing on children under 5 years old before they start school
Mm-hmm.
to provide them the support with, getting their developmental checks and transition into school smoothly because that's one of the issues that we've defined specifically at the school that we're targeting. They
Mm-hmm.
find that some of the kids are going to school, but they haven't had that preparation yet in terms of their literacy, social skills, and other developmental milestones have not been established yet before they start school.
All
So that
right.
actually hinders on them. And we have an early intervention approach to manage that. So when they start school, they're at the same stage as their peers, and
Mm-hmm.
that pretty much set them up for life. So it's a very important role that we play, and I really enjoy my job that I'm doing.
It sounds amazing. I think working with kids or around kids is I love it. I love it. So I'm sure it's pretty rewarding as well for
Yes,
you.
very, very rewarded. Yeah, I love kids as well, so it's a bonus.
And so what was the moment when you decided to make films? What made you want to make films?
Okay, so that moment came when during the time I was still studying at uni. So I had, like, I always wanted to do social work because I feel like it's a meaningful profession.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I was, exploring filmmaking. So I went to filmmaking workshops, and the key thing for me that I find is that I wanted to tell stories, and I feel like there's so much around me, so much rich stories that are not being told.
Mm-hmm.
And especially being a social worker, when we look at, social justice, social issues, inclusion, I feel like a lot of the things that are on TV are not reflecting that. So I wanted to create that platform to be able to tell the stories that probably, people are unaware of, to bring them to life.
Yeah.
So I continued. I don't know how I managed it at uni because I was doing a double degree plus making films.
Oh my
I think I
gosh.
did
You're a
about, I thought
machine.
that's the thing, looking back, I was like, how did I make that work?
Yeah, wow.
Pretty much, yeah, that's what I was doing. And I said, after uni, I still want to continue to be able to do it. I actually wanted to focus on young people, helping them to to tap into their creative part of them. I think that was one of my main goals, but also using the stories that, like the themes that are coming from the themes that are or the issues that have been faced by the people that I'm working with,
Mm-hmm.
to make films about that.
Yeah.
So that was my goal, and I finished uni in 2013, and since then I've still been doing the social work and making the films.
And
Um,
sorry not to cut you off, but you have made
yeah,
a lot of films. Or you've got a lot of work that you've done in the last what 6 7 years, I guess, since 2013. It's incredible. And the main point of this episode is to talk about how you've managed to find the money to fund making these films. So you've talked about working a day job and then you do your filmmaking on the side. But now I'm really curious about, let's say, your last two projects, the film I Am
Yeah.
Black and Beautiful and then Afro Sisters.
Mhm.
How have you found the funds to make those projects come to life?
Yes. So uh, well, I'll talk about when I started first and what it was like.
Sure.
I have to say, going back to my first film, or even the couple of films that I did after that, I it was I think there was no money at the time, but I had the right people with me. Like I was very persistent at the time, and I wanted to make the film. So I contacted people um, who I've seen or have been part of the workshops that I've attended, the filmmaking workshops. They've been the teachers or the mentors in those workshops. So I contacted them and say, look, this is the story. I wrote a script and I wanted to make this film. And them being very supportive, they came on board and they helped me to make it.
Oh,
So that was
amazing.
in, yeah, for like nothing. So I think I was really grateful for that. And a lot of people that are starting up, who they might not have the experience or they do, but they don't have the resources. I say it's really good to reach out to people and see if they want to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
or if they love your story. So for me, after that, and now looking back, I think you don't necessarily, like, you get to a stage where you don't want people to be doing this for free for you because it's
Mm-hmm.
actually their profession and they might do it maybe one or two times because they love the story and they want to work with you. But after that, I just sort of made a promise to myself to actually, like, if I'm going to be doing projects, I want to pay the people that have supported me, that
Mm-mm-mm.
I've asked for
Yes.
assistance from. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I, so that started happening in the past couple of years. When I did I'm Black and Beautiful with that one, I think it was slightly different because I had to approach a film production company. They're not for profit.
Yeah.
So I contacted them, and I know the founder of it. She liked the story and said, "Yeah, we can do this film." So the production that I contacted is called Buster Films, and
Yeah.
they they do make films. They run classes and make films with people with disability.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an inclusive filmmaking approach that they have. So what they did was that I I had to come as a director, and they contracted me to create the film because if you approach a production company or an entity,
Mm-hmm.
they actually have to, now I'm losing the word that they use, but they have to have the right over your film.
Oh, they have to
So that,
option it?
yes,
Yeah.
option it, that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that way they are they have to be one single entity that owns the film.
Yeah.
So when I came on board, they get some philanthropic funding and some other ways that they get their funding through fundraising and all those things. So there
Mm-hmm.
was already some funds to make this film happen.
Yeah.
And when I yeah, and even for myself, I was, paid as part of that to do it. And this was like one of the films that I thought, oh, this is like my creation, this is my idea, and being paid for I, you know, for the story that I want to tell is quite an impressive
It's
thing.
amazing. Isn't
It's
it the
amazing.
best thing?
It's the best thing. I mean, even if, yeah, like whatever amount, it might be, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But it starts to get into this frame of mind like, okay, I'm not on this lower level anymore where I have to put in my own funds into this,
Yeah.
into making this. Maybe
Yeah.
that will still happen, but at least for now, I am getting paid for all this hard work that I'm doing, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what the sum of the money is, you know.
Yeah.
And then so that was one thing that we had. The I Am Black and Beautiful was made through Bostov Films. Um, After that, when with Afro Sisters, we had I think we did the proof of concepts.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did that, it was mainly with the support of Information and Cultural Exchange, which is a creative artistic hub based in Western Sydney in
Mm-hmm.
Australia. So they've been supporting us by that time. I think it was a year or okay, maybe less than a year. They've been supporting us. But we wanted to create a proof of concept as a um, as a way to pitch our idea
Mm-hmm.
to networks and funding bodies.
Yeah.
So they make that happen, and we we did the 4 episode proof of concept, and then through that, we had to create a what is it called? The materials,
The
the
Bible.
documents that we require. Yeah, the
Yeah.
documents that we require to pitch it to this different places. So it was really important. I would say if anyone is trying to do something, especially if it's a web series, a TV show, to have a teaser or proof of concept or something visual
Mm-hmm.
to to show this is what it will look like. And especially if you like when you're approaching networks and funding bodies and you don't have a record of your credibility, that will be questioned first. It doesn't matter how strong your story is. So
Yes.
you have to, for us, I was working with, a team. Most of them have not really been in that role of, you know, making a film. They might have some other creative aspect to it. So we thought this is the time, even for myself, I haven't really had, like, I've done a lot of short documentaries and a few narrative things, but that sort of comedy drama style that we're looking at, I haven't really worked in that area. So so it was an opportunity to prove ourselves that we were capable of doing this,
Yes.
and that really helped to enhance our pitch, convincing people that we can do this ourselves. So after we did that, then we applied for the Screen Australia Generate funds,
Yeah.
which we got,
Which, by the
and
way, I have to interrupt you.
yeah,
Sorry, because you're saying so many really, really insightful things that I think and I hope the listeners will take
yeah,
away from it. But for those who don't know, who are listening, Screen Australia is the big sort of film or screen industry funding body. So they're the big champions of anything that's made in Australia. And, applying for their funding is actually quite competitive. They have a really high standard and, they're excellent, in terms of the kinds of projects that they support. So when I saw that you got that funding, I think I read it in the newsletter. I think I messaged you and said, that's amazing. I'm so excited for you because that's
yeah,
what we want to see. We want to see more people like us, getting in there and doing good work and doing excellent work, and then, being able to find the support that they need to make that stuff. So Aish, I'm so excited for
yeah.
you. So excited. I am. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Like, we really,
Yeah.
really appreciate the support. Like, it's not easy, doing this,
Mm-mm.
putting in these applications,
Mm-mm.
in order to get this. And like you say, Screen Australia is is the big screening body in Australia. And for us to, get that funding from them, it really put that seal of approval that, we can do this.
Yeah.
And the funding we got was, it was a development fund. So to develop the script and prepare everything for the next stage, which would be, pre-production and production
Yeah.
later on. So for
Yeah.
us, even just that first step was just really important to be able to have that. and now we can seek other fundings, and that's the hope for us to be able to make this our web series Afro Sisters
And
one, yeah, soon.
I think just listening to your story, and this is part of what I talk about as well, is I think a lot of people don't realize that there is funding available to develop ideas and concepts. So there is funding available, whether it's Screen Australia or the different states that have their own screen agencies. Uh, there's funding available to develop your idea, so to test it out, to write all of these things, and I guess that's why I wanted to talk to you about money and funding and all of this, because we now know it's there, and the other thing is we know you don't just get it because you're awesome. No, you have to work hard, you have to pitch, you have to put everything together in a way that's competitive. So I really like hearing you talk about this, because then people can see the story of a woman who works a day job but has these ideas, but is writing grants probably until 2 in the morning, but then is also then getting the funding to create those projects. So what I might ask though is, what do you think is the hardest thing about applying for funding from some of these agencies, or in your experience, applying for funding?
Yeah, so my experience, so what I've done, because mainly I come as a director, so I can't really take all the credit for everything. So we've got the producers, and even for instance with Afro Sisters, we've got the collective that is the six of us that work together to build up the pieces to make it all work in terms of the documents that we have to prepare. And but what I would have to say is that sometimes it's good to get people on board, especially if you're an emerging creative, and you don't have anything yet that has been recognized. I feel like if you get in the people um, that have made something, and their work is out there, or whether it's a producer or cinematographer, whoever it is, having those names on your application can really work for you. Because the thing that, I'm not an expert on this, but the screen people or whoever it is, when they put in funds for your project, they want to make sure that they trust that it will be made in a high standard.
Yeah.
And if you have a producer that has done those work, they're like, okay, doesn't matter if this person is the director, might not be at that level yet, the producer can support them, to do that. So, or if you happen to have a production company, like if you approach a production company and they take on your work to make it, that can be great as well. So you can also, that one, they will be the people that will be approaching the funding bodies, the network, to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
They're fine with that. So I have to say also, with depending on the type of funds that you're going for, sometimes like with Screen Australia, they might ask you, if you're just one person, they might ask for production company, because like I said before, like people want to deal with a production company because it's just one entity than partners or one single person.
Yes.
And that way as well, if things don't work out, it doesn't just fall on your head as one person.
Yeah.
So you might have to be prepared to then create a production company.
Yes.
To have a company name, and that can be done. It's, in a way, you have to put in some money to become a production company, but people do that. Like if you're just creating one, if you don't want to be a production company in the long term, you can just create one temporarily for that
Project.
project.
Yeah.
And then once that's finished, you can, close that company, and then that's it. But at least just be prepared that that's what they might ask for, or you can seek a producer who's already got a production company, or approach one of those production companies that are already, well established.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just so happy to be having this conversation with you, because this is all the stuff that I've been experiencing, learning, seeing by myself, and or
Yeah.
with my peers here in Melbourne. But I think as a fellow African Australian creator, it's kind of good to say, yep, okay, we're speaking the same language, and also trying to share that with other people, that in terms of getting money or funding, it's all about trust, and also risk. So those funding agencies, it's a risk. They want to like lower their risks when they're giving you money. So it's about building that trust and that credibility around the team or the project, to say that, yes, if you give me $100,000 or $3 million or $10 million, or I don't know, $10,000, that I'm actually going to be able to steward that correctly. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to pay the invoices. I'm going to make sure I'm paying people on time, and all of those things that then help the overall industry stay good and excellent, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I know what one of the challenges for me has been to really snap out of that mindset of always asking people to volunteer or do things for free. Like, there's a real shift, like you were saying before, in terms of honoring people's time and talent. And then kind of realizing, like, whoa, a writer gets paid, I don't know, $500 for half a day's worth of work, but that's their talent. Okay, if that's how much it is, then that's what we need to pay. And then budgeting for that, and then kind of not being afraid to then talk about those amounts, and then look for the money that's going to cover those costs, really. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really, it's really important, and that's why, I said, when you're at the beginning stage, you can make things, and sometimes with people who are also, trying to get their names out there, and they're willing to do that for free. But once you get to a stage where it's really, you want your work to be of higher standards, and these people are working, it's their full-time job. If you have a cinematographer, a sound person, and they come in with their expertise and all this knowledge, that are really valuable to your work, it's really important to get that, to seek those funds. And it might take a couple of years or something, and and some people, you might be able to negotiate with them somehow, because if they see a potential in you, like I said before, and they want to work with you, they might be able to sacrifice one day and work on the short film that you're doing with their resources and everything, but don't make it a habit to keep, using these people for free. So that's what I say. Like, people think, probably people outside of the film industry, outside of this experience, sometimes think it's so easy to make something like this. You just do this, you just do that, and then that's it. Like, I get people who are just like, they've got a story and they're interested to make it, and they're thinking of feature films, but they've never done anything before, any filmmaking experience, but they just want to, get me on board to work on their film. And I'm just thinking, I have not done feature films before.
Yeah.
Imagine, the scale of work that is required. And are you going to seek funding? What's your plan? And there's nothing there.
Ah, my God. Don't even get me started, because I've kind of had that more in the public speaking world. So before I was doing all this TV thing, I was speaking, and you end up building a body of work, and then you end up having a certain rate, which is, what your peers, so non-African or Australian or mainstream peers, are charging. And sometimes, when you go back to people and say, well, I really want to be part of your project, but this is the rate. And then people go, sorry, it's okay, don't worry about it. And and it's like, oh man, I mean, that's what we're trying to dispel, in these conversations, is that you have to spend money, you have to invest, you have to
Mhm.
invest in the talent, but also in your community and in the people who are trying to tell the stories that are similar to you. You know,
Mhm.
it sucks, but that's the truth. That's how some of these other shows and films that we love so much are getting made. People
Yeah.
are getting the money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just from you sharing that, it just reminded me of like someone. There was a group, I won't call names, but they asked me to do a video for them, and I wanted to support them, and I thought it would be really important for me to do it. I didn't ask for any money; it was pro bono.
Yeah.
I made the video for them, and then I went to the event. They had a videographer. They have all these other things happening, and I thought to myself, hmm,
Oh.
so they had the money.
Oh
They
no.
had some money to hire someone else to do the videography. Like, that's not my area of interest, but I was just like, this doesn't really
Yeah.
match up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they really think this can just happen for free, but
Yeah.
they've got the money to spend in some other areas, you
Y-
know?
Yeah.
So,
But this is the
yeah,
beauty of this. I think you and I can relate in terms of, you know, the more experiences you have like that, you learn and you get smarter and wiser, and then you're able to make better decisions around valuing your time and your own talent and then that of others. So
yeah.
that's a really good lesson, because I think one of my best friends is a dancer, and she's always saying, I'm tired of people calling up and saying, hey, can you come and dance at our event for exposure? And it's like, no, I'm exposed enough because you found me. Can you now pay me? Pay me
Yeah,
what I'm, what I need to be paid. So yeah,
yeah.
I love that. So okay,
That's so true. Yeah.
it's true. Well,
Mhm.
honestly, I feel like I could talk to you forever about this topic, but I think you have, shared enough that I hope people can either contact you directly to find out more information,
Yeah.
or they can ask me a question, or also just look at your work
Yeah.
and follow and support your work as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
thank you so much for being
no, that's
on the show.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. When it comes to finances and things, it's one of the biggest challenges as a creative. So I just hope what I've shared might help. But I feel like sometimes people can do some research and find out about this information online as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what the key thing is, this funding bodies or production companies, they want you to contact them. Like, if
Yeah,
there is
they
a
do.
grant or something available, they actually will give you the time to explain to you about what is required, because they want people to succeed as well.
Yes.
It's just that there's so many people applying. They can't say yes to everyone, but you've got a good chance if you just, before applying for anything, just inquire first about what is really required. And sometimes they can even, guide you. I spoke to someone from, we've got Create New South Wales here. They were like, we want to see more of these people, these emerging filmmakers come
Mm-hmm.
in and
Yeah.
speaking to us,
Yeah.
and we can explain to them and guide them through the process. So I think just use that, just give that a go and create a network around you of people
Yes.
that you want to work with. That's really important to get started, and approach people that you might be aspiring to work with, and never be afraid to speak to them to say this is your work. And if they see the potential in you and your story, some producers or some executive producers, they might want to work with you. Never be afraid to ask for that, you
Yeah.
know.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's such good wisdom to to end on. Actually, before we go, where do people find you? Where do you want people to find you or your work?
Okay, so you can find me on my website is called www.hawanatu.com. So my name is spelled Hawanatu. So you can find me there. And we've also got with the Afro Sisters. You can check out what we're doing and stay in touch. So there, our website is www.afrosisters.com. Afro Sisters is spelled AFROSIS. So yeah, you can find me on there, or look out for the Afro Sistahs series. We've got the episodes, the proof of concept episode up online as well. So
Great.
that's all about, it's all about the Afro-Australian women's experience here in Western Sydney, and how we deal with challenges and navigate the millennial issues that we have.
Yes.
So you can find out more about that on that website, and you can contact me on my website, and I'm happy to support emerging filmmakers or established, or whatever level you are, and just connecting with another filmmaker is always good. So happy to do that.
Oh, sounds great. Thank you so much for being on the show, Hawanatu, and all the best with everything that you're working on now.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
You too. All the best with this, with your project as well.
Thank you.
You're listening to 2 Words with Taku. If you like what you're hearing, please rate, review, and recommend the show.
Okay, so just listening to Hawanatu's story, listening to some of what I've been saying, you have to get creative with finding the money. You just have to get creative. And for a lot of people, you work your day job, and then you save, and then you chip in here and there. But I think I found personally, after a while, it's hard. It's hard to do both. And there is money out there. There really is. There is funding out there, resources, money, cash, however you want to word it. There is stuff out there. It is competitive. So that again feeds back into dedicating yourself to packaging your concepts well, building your team, your networks, doing your homework, all of the stuff that's going to back you up when then you're applying for funding, or you're approaching somebody to invest into your show or your company. There is work that goes into doing that. And I would say just don't underestimate the amount of work that takes. Yes, you can be working full time, but those late nights to write the applications, the time to read everything, it does take a lot of discipline. And one thing I've had to do is even take months, and I mean literally months, off social media, because I've just needed to knuckle down and read the books or read the websites or talk to people, make the calls. And I think you also just have to kind of trust yourself in terms of knowing who really will genuinely be interested in your show, and where you can look for the resources, and not being afraid to ask. Just don't be afraid to ask. So as always, I always say, if you have questions, please ask me. If you have questions for the guests, I'll put their contact details in the link notes, because I think what I'm trying to create is just more open conversations around the things that make us uncomfortable, that we're not sure about, and things that I'm still learning as well. I've only applied for a bit of development funding at this stage, but there's going to be more amounts that I need to go and look for, bigger, scarier amounts. And so all of this is my way really of trying to combat that fear as well, and combat that uncertainty of how this is all going to play out. And so I hope this helps you. I would love to hear from you. My email is taku@taku.com.au. If you have questions, send them through. Feedback, send them through. Rate and review the show as well while you're at it. And let's just keep on going. And here's to more lessons, onwards and upwards. Thanks. Bye.